You ever feel kind of guilty for needing to be alone, like it's some kind of social weakness or something? Well, what if I told you that need isn't a weakness at all, but a skill? And what if it's actually the secret to being more focused and way more energized? Today, we're going to dive into the science of why you actually work so much better alone. Wow, this quote just hits the nail on the head, right? Think about it. That feeling you get after a super long team meeting, or a networking event, or even just trying to get through a crowded grocery store. You feel totally, completely drained. There's a perfect term for this: mentally expensive. It just perfectly captures that feeling of your energy just vanishing when you're around other people. So, what is actually going on here? Why does this happen? Well, let's put a name to it. Let's call it the social tax. Just think of it like this. It's a tiny mental payment you have to make for every single social interaction, whether it's big or small. It's the invisible price you pay for just existing in a world that's, full of other people. And look, this whole social tax thing, it's not just a clever metaphor. It represents the real, hidden mental work your brain is doing every single second you're connected to someone else. It's the actual science behind why you feel so drained. Yeah, that's exactly it. Interacting with another human being is not a passive activity for your brain. Not at all. It's a non-stop, high-speed calculation. Your brain is constantly working, it's processing, it's predicting. It's an incredible thing, really. But wow, does it consume a massive amount of energy. So what are these calculations we're talking about exactly? Well, every single time you make eye contact, your brain is processing a ton of data. When you listen to someone's tone of voice, you're not just hearing words, you're decoding emotional information. You're reading their body language for all those subtle cues, and at the same time, trying to anticipate what they're going to say or do next. Every single one of these is its own cognitive task, and they just add up and up, draining your mental battery. Okay, so if socializing is the expense, then what's the income? Where do we get that energy back? The answer is solitude. But it is time we completely reframe what that actually means. It's not about running away from people, it's about refueling. Solitude is the cognitive fuel our brains are just desperate for. For so long, we've had this all wrong. We've associated solitude with all these negative terms, right? Like being antisocial or lonely. But the reality is completely different. Needing alone time isn't being antisocial, it's a cognitive recharge. It's not about loneliness, it's about energy restoration. And it is definitely not escapism, it is the absolute ideal state for deep, focused work. So let's be super clear about this. The whole point of solitude isn't to get away from people. It's about giving your brain a break from the constant demanding job of processing all those social cues. You're strategically reducing your cognitive load so you can actually function at your best. Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do we actually do this? How do we make solitude start working for us? Well, it all comes down to intentionally conditioning your environment, creating a space where your brain can finally stop running all those constant calculations. And there's actually a fantastic term for this practice: environmental conditioning. This isn't just about finding a quiet room, by the way. It's the deliberate act of building a sanctuary for your mind, a place where that social tax is zero, and your brain is finally free from the burden of constant decoding. Just think about that for a second. That feeling of holding your breath and finally letting it all out, that is what environmental conditioning does for your brain. It's that huge mental exhale you've been waiting for, and it allows for clarity, creativity, and deep focus to just bubble up to the surface. All right, let's bring this all together. By understanding the social tax and by practicing this environmental conditioning, you can stop seeing alone time as some kind of deficit and start using it as your greatest asset. You can literally turn your need for solitude into a genuine superpower. Here's how you can start today. It's super simple. First, just recognize the drain. Start paying attention to that mentally expensive feeling. Second, reframe it. When you feel it, don't think, ugh, I'm being antisocial. Think, okay, my brain needs to refuel. And finally, actively condition your space. Find or create a place where your brain can truly be off duty and just recharge. This right here is the core shift in thinking we all need to make. Being alone isn't about being antisocial. It's about environmental conditioning. It's not a personality flaw. It's a strategic practice for mental clarity and for energy management. So if you take one thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this.
Solitude is not a passive state of just being lonely. It is an active tool you can use to sharpen your focus, to restore your energy, and to do your absolute best, most creative work.
So, the real question isn't whether you need to be alone, but how you're going to use that time. Now that you know solitude is your fuel, how are you going to refuel? Where is that place your brain can